right, welcome to the Nitty Gritty. We lost our guest today.
We did.
But it is our 1 year anniversary, so
Happy birthday.
I'm not going to sing. The poor people. Monday morning, they're on their way to work. They don't want to hear us sing. Man, we were so excited for today. I mean, we still are, but there's kind of good news and bad news about our guest. So we had Frank Jackson from the New Orleans Pelicans scheduled today, which would have been super fun. But last night shot us a text saying that the Pelicans recalled all their players back to New Orleans. So there's good news and there's bad news there.
NBA's coming back.
Yeah. The bad news is we were really excited for our guest, so we lost our guest, but it's not his fault. He's awesome. He said he'll come back as soon as he's back in Utah.
Yep.
But the good news is the NBA might be coming back, which I don't care honestly, I have a newfound appreciation for all sports. Like, the NBA is full of whiny babies, but I don't even care.
Because
like,
I am so every
ready.
One of them.
Dude, I'm so ready to watch. I was watching South Korean baseball today when Brent walked in.
Like, I would even watch Westbrook and Harden play right now. That's how desperate I am.
You know, one thing that's got, speaking of Westbrook.
Oh, no, here we go.
Like, front page of the news today, Westbrook is donating meals to the frontline workers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what? If you're donating stuff and wanting to do nice things, you don't need photographers there, like, and posing for pictures. Like, do the nice thing. Have your agent call. Have your assistant call. Like, you don't. That's the thing. I'm so over, like, all these stars doing these quote unquote nice things, and it's just a big photo op.
Well, you wonder though, like, they did or didn't have the choice to. You know what I mean? Like,
they didn't. They did. I mean, because they're posing. Like, it's so, like, the you got to see the picture. Like, all the bags are, like, stacked perfectly and lined up, logo forward. Like, it looked like you know what the drug bust pictures look like?
Yeah.
If like the Highway Patrol makes a big drug bust, they like pile
all the drugs and all the money and
right. That's what it looked like.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of like, okay, cool. But I don't care how big of a star you are. Like, I guarantee a guy like Drew Brees has donated a lot of money to things and sent a lot of food to people, and none of us will ever know about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, sorry.
Well,
give me a break.
Let's get back to us. I want to talk about us. We're
Not about COVID-19.
No, dude. We're 1 year old. Is it 1 year?
1 year old, yeah.
Or years?
Crazy.
One is just a
single.
single.
1 year old. 1 year old. Yeah, I think it would be year.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we're 1 year old.
It's kind of crazy.
It's gone really fast, too. And it's been really fun. Who's your favorite guest? Do you have one?
Oh, yeah. I've actually, on the way down here, I was starting to think of stuff to kind of talk about and guests and favorite things. I don't think
one of us has to be organized.
For sure. And we know it's not you.
Well, you know, I just complimented you. You don't have to insult me back. Jeez.
Oh, just kidding. But
it is true. Go ahead.
I don't have a favorite guest, but I was thinking about, like, favorite moments.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? It's hard to say, like, a favorite guest for me, but I've had some moments that have been, like, super powerful.
Right. Do you have them in order? Do you have them, or just grouped?
No, I just
a few that stand out.
Just randomly, right?
Right.
So one of them was with Kim.
Right.
And, like, I'll never forget as she was telling her story, like, the look in her eyes, like, I could see the story happening in her eyes. Like, I could, like, see, like, the people she was talking about, like, looking out the window and getting news, and, like, the way that she was telling it, like, for some reason, like, that story, I could literally envision what she was saying happen in her eyes.
Right.
It was a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah, for me it was Dr. Z. Like, meeting Dr. Z and her just having that strong feeling like that was the guy, you know. So that one was crazy. It's funny, I have a tendency to just every podcast think that was my favorite one because it's just the most recent. Like, I really, really liked Kurt's.
Yeah.
Just because it was so fascinating. But as I think back, I could say that about 20 or 30 of them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Kim's really stands out because it was just so emotional, and especially with her being gone now, which it just makes it so, I don't know. I just feel like we're really lucky to have been able to, hear that from her and feel all that before she passed. And, we get to be a small part of something people can kind of turn back to and listen to and, remind them of her and her story. And, we get to be a part of that, which I think is really neat.
Well, what's crazy is her episode is by far our most popular.
Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't doubt that at all.
So if you don't know, we have a YouTube channel that we post all of the interviews to.
No, there's like 18 people that know.
134. Thank you very much.
My bad. We didn't get a poster with 100. Like once we hit 100 subscribers, you don't get like a little plaque or anything.
I saw Betsy got like this thing for 100,000. Don't we get?
That's her kid, her daughter.
So they all got, like, their boys got it, her daughter got it, and the family got it.
Oh, see, I thought the boys had more.
All three of them got it.
I would love to just be a fly on the wall in that house for one day. Like, I love her to pieces, but all I can imagine is just all of them on their phones trying to like outdo each other. Like, right? I mean, I watch all her stuff because she's just a happy. It's funny. Most people that talk about products as much as she does, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But she's the real deal. I love Beth.
It's
like,
so
she's
genuine.
So awesome.
I mean, look at how many guests that we've gotten from her.
Right. Oh, for sure. And they all love her, and rightly so. And I mean, I bet her kids are a riot, but the cynical side of me is just like, oh my gosh, her kids have hundreds of thousands of followers. Anyway. Yeah. But it's a good little lesson for me to learn because they're probably great kids, especially because I love the parents. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating, but they're creative people. That's for sure.
Yeah. But it's cool that when you look back at like our channel and our videos and stuff. So Kim on YouTube has like over 7,500 views.
Really?
Of her video.
Just and then they wanted to see Kim.
And then you add like her podcast, like she's well over, 10 or 11,000 like total
listens or downloads
or whatever you want to call it.
Well, all we can track is downloads, right? So I'm sure it's been listened to a lot more than that.
But it's crazy that, that's, and to your point, like to be able to watch it now that she's gone, it makes it like extra special.
For sure. And that would have been one that would be so cool to have.
Better
we talked about upgrading the video side and just being able to see those facial expressions while they're talking. That would have been a really neat one to have on. Yeah. Because you really could, she's told that. So I'm sure she's told that story so many times. So for her to still kind of well up and, geez, I mean, that's the reason I lost it. Yeah. Just seeing the emotion in her face still. Yeah. Yeah, man, she's special. I got a really interesting text last night. A DM on Instagram. We can edit this out if we want, but I'm just going to share it just because. But so I went to visit her at the hospital. One of the times that I went to visit her at the hospital, there was a girl there. Anyway, she messaged me last night on Instagram and just said, "This is strange," because basically I'm about to admit to you that I dreamt about you. So it started off a little strange, but she just said that I just saw you in my dream, like working hard to get things done and busy with, and you were working hard and trying your best to serve others and doing kind things. But every time I saw you, Kim was with you. And then I saw you in the movie theater, Kim was sitting next to you. I saw you doing this, and she was sitting behind you. And she's like, so I just thought I should tell you because I think Kim is watching out for you and rooting for you. I thought that was pretty cool.
That happened last night?
I just got it last night.
Wow.
So, yeah, I haven't even responded to her yet because I'm just like, it took, I needed a minute for that to sink in. But, I mean, what a cool thing to hear and for her to say. And so, yeah, it's, of course, you always wonder if that stuff's real or legit or how much help we get from the other side. But I'd like to think that she checks in on all of us once in a while.
For sure.
Pretty cool.
Do you have any moments that have stood out to you?
See, the problem is I'm really good at remembering recent things, but I'm bad at remembering past. Like, obviously, Kim's really, really stands out. But most recently, like I said, Kurt. I thought Kurt Brown, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a story that we need really bad right now, because I feel like people are forgetting how to like risk and just go get what you want.
Yeah.
Like you go and you just throw caution to the wind and you hitchhike to New York. Obviously, I don't think I'd recommend that now. But I mean, he was willing to do just about whatever it took for him to get where he was going. And what a story. I mean, not just the specific story itself, but just the whole,
just everything in general.
Just the lesson, you know. So other than that, you know, I really should have printed out. I think if I had a list of our guests in front of us, oh, that's a good idea.
Ask and ye shall receive.
If I put that list in front of me, I think it would be much easier for me.
So maybe let me ask you a different question as you think about that. Because we've had some fun conversations where we both have been like, oh, that's not going to be a good episode, and ends up being like a really good one. Or like, oh, I'm not super excited about that guest, and ends up being like an amazing guest. Like, do you have one where you're like, you remember like, oh, I wasn't super excited about this, and it ended up being like over the top for you?
Honestly, number one by far now is Kurt.
Really?
Yeah. I wasn't that
all I told you
about that.
Like my investment partner, and you're like,
whoop-de-doo. And I think there's been a bunch. Brent would totally say that. Like, I'm always just like, oh, geez, why are we having this person on? Blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, I'm like, that was amazing. They're great. Oh, yeah, you're right. See, I knew you guys would remember better than me. Vest Pearson.
Yeah, Vest.
That's totally right. Because I was in summer sales forever. So Vest is the CEO of Aptiv, right? Summer sales company. I did summer sales for 9 years. And when Andrew told me his buddy Vest was coming on, he's the CEO of Aptiv Pest Control. I'm like, oh, great. Because, I mean, we all know the stereotypes, right? But my gosh, he was awesome. I mean, such great stories. The Tiger Woods story, just his goals, how he chased things. He's a family guy. Anyway, totally impressed me.
Well, it's cool to have him back too for the Kobe stuff.
Right, and the Kobe thing was cool. What about you?
For like, I guess I was surprised with.
Right.
So I remember it was Jason, the modern dad. So it's not like, I remember you're like, hey, I met Jason. He's going to be awesome. Let's have him come on the podcast. And I was like, okay, like, what are we going to talk about? Like, going back to like doing research and stuff, like I couldn't find any information. Like there's nothing to research on him,
right?
Like outside of just like watching his Instagram. And so I was just kind of like I showed up with no notes because there was literally nothing to like research and find out about him. And within seconds of him walking, I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is amazing. Like, I am so excited to have this guy here.
Oh, dude. I was dying during that episode.
I mean, just when it started out with like the Sanskrit or whatever.
That was the line of the episode. Like Old English was a little too West Valley, like a little too gangster. So I did, something sans. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like who jokes using fonts?
But now he is one of my favorite people.
Oh, he's amazing.
You know, and I think that's kind of been cool. We talked about it before, but like the guests who come on become like legitimate friends.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
We joke about like the Nitty Gritty family, but it's real. Like the guests become friends with each other, like outside of us.
Right.
And they're already friends before a lot of the times because Utah's a small place. And so a lot of them already know each other, and that's how we met them.
It's true. A lot of them referrals.
You know? Yeah. And his episode is our second most popular episode.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not even close.
Wow.
Yeah, so Kim was, like I said, 10, 11,000, whatever. Jason's probably at the 7 or 8 number, like between everything.
Wow.
And so, and then after that, like most of them kind of start to pile together like around 3-ish.
Really?
3 to 4.
So, yeah, that's a good... It's funny. I'm scrolling through our Instagram, looking at our guests. Our Instagram's so organized. And man, there's so many good ones. Like Sadie was awesome. Raising Wild. Remember how fun that was?
So Sadie I thought about this as one of my favorite moments because her episode, I think it caused, at least the people that talked to me about it, it caused a lot of people to like stop and think.
Like how?
Because she starts talking about like chakra and crystals and all this kind of stuff. And for most people in Utah that are LDS, that is not something that's talked about.
Which is kind of funny considering some of the things we believe.
Yeah, it is. But
you think we'd be pretty open-minded to that stuff.
But like the fact of it is that it's not, right?
Right.
And so like I had multiple conversations with people and it was so fun because it just kind of challenged everything. It made people just like take a step back and really be like, okay, like, am I going to be open to understanding this? I don't have to agree or believe, but am I open to it?
Right.
And like going through it, like, oh, so that was one of my favorite ones. Sadie's she was so much fun.
Oh, a riot.
You know, and she brought us gifts, the cookies. It's always nice.
Very nice and rare.
But like, it was so fun afterwards to have those conversations with people that were like, oh, it started and I kind of turned it off because I started feeling uncomfortable. And I was able to like kind of challenge them like, well, why? Like, why are you uncomfortable? Like, let's talk about this. And like,
Isn't that funny?
It opened the door to these really kind of deep, profound conversations that came from the podcast.
Yep.
So like that's for sure been a favorite moment of mine is like hearing people how uncomfortable it made them for no reason, but true to them, you know, like, but also watching the journey of them not only kind of becoming comfortable with it, but like really enjoying that conversation.
Like just letting their guard down. You know, it's funny. I've been rewatching The Last Kingdom on Netflix. Uhtred is so hot. Everyone knows that.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Andrew. It's such a good movie or show. Anyways, 4 seasons. But it's funny because it's basically based on Vikings and Saxons, right? Like English people against, they call them pagans. And it's so funny to hear like how one-sided the Christians are. Like, well, no, we're going to win because we're Christians. Like God is going to beat them. Yeah. And, you know, the pagans have, Vikings had their gods, right? And it is so funny how the main character is Uhtred, who was born English, born a Saxon, basically kidnapped as like a 9 or 10-year-old by Vikings and raised by Vikings. And so he was baptized into the church, but then grew up believing in the gods. Okay. And it's so funny because now he's interacting with both sides as this like great warrior, and he kind of calls out Danes for believing the way that they do and calls out Saxons for like they're both so set in their beliefs that they're not even willing to think about that there might be some other pieces to the puzzle outside of your norm, right? And I think that that's always been, it's been an interesting thing to watch because I think we're still like that in a way.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? Like we're just so comfortable in our own beliefs that it's really hard for us to either respect or even investigate others and be okay with it. Like Sadie said the prayer at the opening prayer at Kim's funeral. Okay. And, I think I remember one of our friends saying that she wanted to go even more out there. Like I forget what she calls it, but she basically prayed in a very Sadie way, but it was awesome. Yeah. Like she held her hand on her heart like she does, when she does that breathing thing, and it was beautiful. Yeah. And anyway, it just made me realize that there's so many different ways to believe in, what's the best way to put it? It's not a cookie cutter anything, right? Like we all bring our own flavor to the mix. Yeah. Which is how it's supposed to be. And I think she was great for that. It kind of helped us realize like, hey, there might be more to this. It's a different point of view, and you just have to listen. Well, and it's something that, I'll fully admit, like I had never talked, investigated, nothing at all. Like you've talked about it before, and sure. But like I have a witch doctor's mother
for sure, and it's nothing comfortable, common for me, but like it was so fun. It's just something clicked about it. Right. It was like, oh, this is really good. Like it's something unlocked. Like I still joke with her. And I was like, hey, I need to learn more about this. Like, there's something about this that is very fascinating to me.
Right.
But why do you think it is that, well, I think I have my opinion. Why do you think it is that people can't or aren't willing to be more open? You know, like if you believe one thing, like why do you think it is that they're so shut off from something else?
I think it all depends on, I think being raised here, you know, we hear the term, you know, you and I are both LDS. We hear the term our whole lives, like the only true church, like the only. And so you get to the point where you're just like nothing, like everything else is, even though it's not, like it's almost like if it's not this, it's wrong. Instead of thinking like, well, okay, maybe I believe in this for me, but maybe there are other things that I can kind of pull into my studies or beliefs or whatever else. Like, I think that we kind of build a wall. I mean, we see it in Utah County all the time, like the whole bubble joke, right? Like when you grow up somewhere where you're the minority, right? You're just inherently going to be more open to understanding and empathizing or whatever, investigating the beliefs of others. Where here,
I think it goes
rare.
way beyond religion, though, too. Like this feeling. You could say it with Republicans and Democrats. You could say it with the Michael versus LeBron. You know,
Michael, yes.
Like, but it's just so funny that we are so closed off. Like Ray Dalio in his book Principles talks so much about like the importance of a healthy conversation and debate, where like just because you agree or think differently, it doesn't make me wrong and it doesn't make you right. You know, and it's okay if we don't come to the similar conclusion.
It's totally okay.
You know, like it's something that I'm trying to teach the kids.
See, and I think that's the part. Like,
you know,
that was my point. Like if you think about the Michael Jordan, LeBron, right? We grew up with Michael Jordan and like Kobe. Like we're older now.
Yep.
There's something about things happening when you're a kid that just lock in.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like the things you loved lock in. Like the people you grew up with are the best. The time period you grew up in is the best. And I think that's the same with beliefs. Like you grow up a certain way. It is really hard to let go of those things that you did as a child, especially if you think positively about those things. So, you know, I think kids growing up now, I think that's why it's gotten worse and worse and worse is as social media has kind of influenced parenting.
Yeah.
Now, for some reason, there's a line in the sand about everything. Like there's nothing that comes up, like whether it be politics, religion, sports, it is this way or that way.
Yeah.
And you can't be both or in the middle.
Everyone's trying to make a label, right? Everyone's trying to make you hang your sign. But like with my kids, I try to put it in terms they understand. And I mean, my two oldest are Cash and Brody, the two boys. The best analogy I've thought about is like, I'm like, we like the Jazz and someone else likes the Lakers.
Right.
I'm like, it's okay. You know, like, cause like like Cash's best friend, they are huge Lakers fans. And I'm so,
but they grew up in Provo.
His dad technically grew up in LA.
Okay. But see, that's the funny, like that's where it gets hard, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't like them. You're from here.
Yeah. But like having that conversation, and it's like, hey, we don't agree with him. We definitely don't agree that the Lakers are better than the Jazz.
Right.
You know, but it's
They're
okay.
Obviously stupid.
But it's okay. But it sounds so silly, but like it's come up when we'll see someone doing something that we don't agree with or that we don't do. And it's like, oh, that's bad. It's like, no, that's not bad. We're not going to label it. We're not going to shame that person. Just like if someone says they're a Lakers fan, I'm not going to shame them, but I will. You know, but it's like, it's that mentality of how do you teach like willingness to be open to new ideas? And I think a lot of times, honestly, it comes to fear. I think people fear if they're open to it, they're going to accept it or it's going to become, you know, like theirs.
Right.
You know, so it's like if I'm open to another lifestyle, if I'm open to another form of beliefs, that means that I don't believe what I believe or I don't know what I want.
Well, I think a lot of people instill that in us as we're growing up too. Like there's no reason to even mess with it, right? So just thinking about it becomes bad, right?
Like, for example, some of my most powerful moments from the last year have been Danny Deaton's episode talking about substance abuse and how he was literally died, like, and then Robin Warner's,
right.
Like openly talking about sexual abuse, like so many women didn't even want to talk about it, didn't want to hear about it because it's almost like they thought they're more likely to have it happen to them. And Robin talks a lot about this where some of them don't want to go take her course. So she just launched her course to help like give women tools and how to be prepared or what to do if something happens.
Right.
And she's like, I think a lot of people are scared because they feel like if they're prepared, they're asking for it to happen to them.
Right. Attracting it to them.
And that's couldn't be further from the truth.
No, you're absolutely right. It's, I mean, what's the saying? If you're prepared, you shall not fear, right? I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Like how many people that had food storage and stuff stored up a few months ago when the grocery stores were being run on, like it was all good.
Yeah.
Like we were ready for this, right?
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong in it's such a weird way to think.
But
thinking
it's very
that if I
common,
get
though.
prepared, it's going to happen to me. Like, well, yeah, but it is very common. You're right. But I don't understand it at all. Cause I feel like being prepared, you kind of know how to not put yourself in certain situations. You know that if this happens again, you've got plenty of toilet paper, right? So storing toilet paper in your basement, asking for another coronavirus.
Yes.
Nobody should be using toilet paper in the first place. If someone pooed on your arm, would you wipe it off with a dry piece of paper?
No, you use wipes, which you still can't get. Yeah, like if there's a mess in your kitchen, are you using a dry paper towel? No, you're getting a wet washcloth, and that's how you clean it up. Come on, people, hygiene.
So hygiene. It's such a strange. The toilet paper is such a weird thing to me. I use it for drying. That's it.
Yeah,
we're a bidet family. Okay,
for sure.
Too much information. But no, I think you bring up a great point. Sadie's does challenge.
I think there's been a lot of them too, which has been fun. Like,
what's another one?
Well, like I said, like Danny's and Robin's,
right.
It's just people being open to talking about challenge, whether it's, abuse or infertility or death, like I think that was another really powerful moment was with Rena from Perk. So I remember, we had our discussion and it went way different than I thought it was going to. Like we got into some real deep.
I know we sat down excited to talk about Perk Energy, right? And it's like, whoa. But that's the whole point,
and
right?
It was so
like the people
fantastic.
behind these products, like it's so cool to see what led up to it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one thing the podcast has done for me more than anything is I look at everybody differently.
Yeah.
I look at everybody like there is a story there is suffering there. Everybody suffers.
Yep.
That you just have to be understanding, empathetic. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I do know something is.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like hearing Rena talk about what Perk did for her, like that feeling it gave her. Like I'll never forget my mom was like, I know you guys have drank Perk for years. I've never really wanted to. But hearing Rena talk about it, she's like, and now she is a daily drinker.
Right.
Of Perk.
It's so true. I've become a daily drinker.
It's like the
BCAAs, man.
Dude, it's like a 3-time-a-day thing. And now with their new flavors.
Man.
I'm so excited for the nighttime chill, the new flavor.
See, that's what I have. Do you want to kind of share a little personal story?
Sure.
Kind of crazy. You know this story. But speaking of Perk, so I found out a week ago that I have really high blood pressure, which I've never had before. It was kind of scary. Like I had started getting these headaches that were just insane. And so my wife finally called the doctor because I'm 6'5", 400-pound guy. Like it was keeling me over. I couldn't see. Anyway, this last 2.5 months has been obviously very, very stressful with, all the stuff going on in the restaurant. And so, anyways, my doctor's like, you need to get him in here because I think that's from blood pressure. And 5 weeks prior, my blood pressure was perfect.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I was like close to stroke level blood pressure. And so the reason I brought this up is because the two things that he told me I had to stop doing right away, like I take Adderall because of my ADHD, which he said, that's okay, but I've been telling you for years, you can't have caffeine and Adderall. Like, you can't have them both.
Bad combination.
Really bad. And so he's like, caffeine has to go, and I need you to kick sugar. And so they put me on blood pressure medicine. And I even had to buy like not a heart rate monitor, but a blood pressure monitor, like an arm cuff thing.
I remember going to the store as a kid and like running and putting your arm into those things.
Dude, they freaking hurt. Like the one I bought, it was like $45 at CVS, but holy crap, that thing gets tight around my arm. But you know, I have to record it morning and night. And it's funny, ever since, so I'm down like almost 20 pounds just from those two things.
Yeah.
I started drinking a little more caffeine though, just a teeny bit, because I started getting withdrawals. Like I couldn't sleep one night. I was hallucinating. It was horrible. Like, we don't realize what if you drink caffeine every day and then you just stop, holy crap. But there are two things that Perk does that have been really great for me. Chill. Yeah. Has been awesome for me at night just to kind of calm down. But then the BCAAs, because this was Cameron week. I called it Cameron week. And my wife kind of made me do it. Like, this is the first day I've been in the restaurant, and it's Friday right now. Yeah. So I golfed golfed Monday through Wednesday. I was sore as all get out, but I started doing the BCAAs. Yeah. And I kid you not, they're amazing. Like, they taste amazing. Yeah. And so Monday night I was super sore. Tuesday night was the first night it kind of clicked. Yeah. Do BCAAs. I was even more sore. But then Wednesday I did the BCAAs before and after golf. Yeah. And I was less sore Wednesday night and Thursday morning than I was Monday night, Tuesday morning. Crazy. How cool is that? Yeah. So anyways, Gary was our most recent podcast, Rena's husband, and he was totally spot on. Like, the BCAAs have been killer for me. And then helping me sleep, like the chill, it doesn't put me to sleep. It just, I feel like the tension in my muscles just kind of chills out. And man, I probably shouldn't talk so much about this because they are like our best partner, but I'm sold. I can't drink their most popular stuff because I can't drink caffeine, but they've really helped me out. Yeah. And so I think it's so cool. So anyways, I wanted to share my Perk. That's awesome. My new Perk story, because everybody else has one, and I've never really been into it. If you use Perk code Nitty Gritty, you get 15% off. That was so well timed. Thank you. Oh, great job. So anyway, it was a scary, I need to work on my health, obviously. Yeah. Like, I'm a big dude as it is, but still, like, the doctor basically said, your body, like, your blood pressure is fine, but if your body can't handle stress, and your blood pressure is like, obviously we got to work on that because you own your own business, blah, blah, blah. And so it was an eye opener, man. So crazy. What has been kind of for you, like, why do you keep coming back every week for Nitty Gritty? Every week I complain about it to myself. Yeah. Like, why, like, when we stress out about guests, and I'm bad at having scheduled things as it is, just because I'm so, like, if something pops up and I want to do it, I hate having to say no, But what's funny is every time we finish, for the next 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, I love that. That was so much fun. I learned so much. It's nice to have kind of a platform, like a place to vent and tell stories. And I think the number one thing is the storytelling part, like just being able to look back, and we'll have these forever. Yeah. And just getting to meet some amazing people, hear stories. I think for me, it is part keeping me motivated in my own business, like being around all these creative people and powerful people powerful is the wrong word, just smart, inspiring people. Yeah. And so it's, I wouldn't want to stop. I think more than once a week would get hard. Yeah. I don't know how the freak Joe Rogan. Did you hear the deal he just made? Yeah. That's pretty cool. I guess I could do it if I had that. But I mean, he's the first guy since like Howard Stern that he has so much power and so many listeners that he can go somewhere and charge for it. Yeah. And speaking of Howard Stern, I heard probably the best interview I've heard in 5 years this week on Howard Stern.
Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld.
I love Jerry Seinfeld.
Holy crap. You've got to listen to it. If you have a Sirius subscription, look up Howard Stern interviewing Jerry Seinfeld. Like, that man is just a toolbox of wisdom.
Jerry?
Yeah. I mean, Howard Stern is the best interview I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody that even comes close. Like, yeah, he's a shock jock. He did all, he's got his gross side, whatever. But these last few years, I mean, he's such a big deal that he can get anybody on. And man, the stuff he gets out of people. But Jerry Seinfeld is so big and powerful and they're close friends. And so he'll correct Howard on things.
Oh, okay.
And man, there was a couple things he said about passion and love for what you do. Anyway, I encourage you to listen to it because it was amazing.
Do you find, or have you used, whether it's a quote, an episode, a story from our guests from the show, when you're talking to like other people, whether it's with Ash and the kids or friends? Like, do you find yourself like kind of drawing on stuff from the show?
That's a hard one. I would say the current show, yes.
Okay.
But I'm really bad. Like, this is an ADHD thing. Like, I don't have the memory. Like, I just have so much going on in my head that's why I like to listen to all of them, just to kind of retain some.
Yeah.
But I will definitely use it, like, with the current episode, for example. But you?
I use them all the time.
Because you have a memory like a freaking steel trap.
Well, you know how much I love quotes and stories,
yes,
right? I mean, so there's been so many things, and it's been really fun to be able to have that because it gives you a different perspective when you are talking to someone that's going through, something.
That's true.
Going something in your life. Like, that's like my favorite phrase. Like, I think we've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. You remember the BASF company? The old, like, they were like the chemical company or whatever.
Right.
Like, their tagline was, "We don't make the things you buy. We make the things you buy better."
Right.
Like that's always been like my thing. It's like, I don't make things, I make things better.
Right.
Like, that's always like been like my joking tagline. And so it's been fun to take bits and pieces of podcast and apply them.
Sure.
Even how they are in like one that stands out a lot is Danny Deaton's, his phrase, your secrets keep you sick. So I brought that up.
That's a good one.
Like, I brought that up so many times because he talks a lot about, how how families and the addicts, and he talks about how the addicts teach the families how to help them, like how to almost, what was the word he used? Like enable. That was the word. Thanks, Brent. How the addicts will teach the family how to enable the addict.
Right.
And there's been a lot of times where it hasn't been a substance abuse, but it's been a relationship deal. It's been, there's so many different applications to that on how the addict or the person who's struggling with something teaches the family how to enable the behavior and how it just kind of continues on. And it's been, I don't know, it's just been really cool to be able to have those types of things to turn back on. If you were to say your favorite thing of having the podcast, you kind of talked a lot about the stories. What's been your favorite thing?
My favorite thing. It's hard to nail it down to a specific. I think it's more about just doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I think the friends is the favorite thing. Like the new friends, the new connections.
For sure, that's number one for me.
And I don't mean it as connections in the sense of like
I got
the connect, right?
Yeah.
No, it's like real connections, like real having. I mean, there are a few people we've had on that since their podcast. I mean, I respected them before, but since their podcast, it's like a whole nother level. Like Anna McFarland, like for some reason, she really stands out to me.
Yep. Her
and Susan both, Peterson. I shot a text to Anna McFarland, 3 weeks ago. It cracked me up because we did a food drop off in Sandy, which is what we were doing during the, shutdown to kind of make up for all the catering. And she ordered food, and I texted her later that night to tell her, like, when, doing these drop offs is a lot of work and I'm usually excited for them to be over. And when she pulled up with two of her kids and her husband, and it's funny. She pulled up, looked over, and I just got so excited. I was just so happy to see her. And I sent her a text. I'm like, the only way I can really describe it is like a way a dog, like when they see their owner, right?
Like after they've been gone at work all day.
Right. Like, I'm like, like a dog wagging its tail, just super. I'm like, so you just, I told her, I'm like, you just made my day better. Like just seeing you made me feel like a dog does what, like my dogs do when I come home from work. It just cheered me up. And she's like, weirdly, that's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me. But it was so true. And I'm like, and I have the podcast to thank for that. Cause that's, where we really, cause she was a referral basically from Susan. I got her number from Susan Peterson. And so that's just one example of, these new friendships and these new connections and being able to know their backstory and really see them as people and not, because a lot of these people are pretty strong influencers.
Yeah.
And it's my cynical side gets stuck like get
so
over
easy.
yourself, blah, 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 blah. But I'm so glad I know the real them and can really appreciate the stuff that they put out because I know their true nature and personality. And so that's probably mine.
Yeah. Relationships for sure. Because I mean, especially for me, I was super anti-social media to begin with.
Right.
Right. And so like when you did see someone who had a big following, I was always like, oh my gosh, get out of here.
Right.
And it's people that I would have never, ever met or become friends with otherwise.
For sure.
Like Anna's a perfect example. I would have never crossed paths with Anna.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or a Jacobs, Gold Yeller. Like
right.
I would have never, ever crossed paths with that guy.
Nope.
But now we are like super good friends.
I can just see the face you would have if you did meet Jared in real life without knowing him. Like Andrew has a face. It's just kind of like watching like a train wreck, maybe. Like just kind of staring at it, this blank, like there's a slight judgmental tone to it or something. Like just what? And he doesn't roll his eyes. I think you have to know you well to know the face, but it would be really funny to see. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's another one because Jared's a great one to bring up because he is a million miles an hour. He's crazy. In the best of ways.
He is like the best hype man ever. Everyone needs a hype man like freaking Jared.
And what's funny is his story is amazing. His story is literally the whole entire reason. Like that type of story is exactly why we do this.
Yes.
Like he created something for himself. Seinfeld talks a lot about this. Yeah. How, hard work and passion, love, all that. Like you can turn something you love into something that's valuable and it can pay you and that's that. I want to backtrack. I wanted to ask you, I think your answer would be fun, of who you were not excited about.
I answered it.
You did?
Remember it was
I thought I just went on a rant and I never heard your answer.
No, it was Modern Dad.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I didn't know him at all.
Right.
I had no idea. I had no idea who he was.
I actually remember that because I got Modern Dad on. Right?
Yeah.
And
you're like, I got Modern. I'm like, who is this guy? I have no idea who this guy is.
Right. And he has a good following, but it's not massive, right?
Yeah.
And it's at least when we had him on. But that's really funny. I totally forgot because I didn't even I love Jason and we follow each other on social media, but I didn't know him.
He's
Holy crap.
Such a good example though. Become a good friend.
Totally.
I love that guy.
Oh my gosh.
And I would have never ever met him without the show.
And ever. He was so open too. I loved his episode. It was so funny. But I mean there was some deep stuff too.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about a few questions we wanted to ask, will we have the balls to ask? And man, it was so easy just talking about, because he has just the way he likes girly stuff, man. And he grew up in Taylorsville, like his little gangster stuff. And he's one of the strongest, I would say the strongest
most confident
toughest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And, he's definitely got he'll admit it. He wants to stay home and help. Like I want to help my daughters dress good and do their hair, and it just so opposite of what we expect from a man, right?
Yeah.
Like a man's man.
Yeah.
But I would say he's more of a man's man than most man's men that I know.
For sure. He just redid his whole kitchen.
Yeah. I like when he did his fan, like redoing it. He's just, I freaking, and his garage, he's just awesome. Anyway, that was a really, really good one. But
I mean, it really is crazy. Like when you go back and just look through some of the guests, like, I mean, like Jason and Brigitte with Mata Shopping.
Right.
Like they were so much fun. And
can you believe we were their first podcast?
And then to see what they turned it into.
Oh my gosh.
Like their own podcast that is crazy good, that has probably way more people listen
6 million times more than us.
But it's fun. But like they're another one. Like we've hung out with them. Like Jen and I have hung out with Jason and Brigitte. Like it's
maybe not on the yacht with the Deatons.
Well, they actually invited us.
Yeah, no, invited you. There must have been a weight limit on the boat. This is a BS. But no, yeah, it is funny. I love that one because, I mean, obviously their story's amazing too. Like their whole marriage story is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I loved it. But I remember us telling them, like, you guys should do a podcast.
Yeah.
You guys would be amazing. And yeah, their podcast is totally blown up.
Like one of the things for me that's one of the more satisfying things is like we've been really fortunate to have some pretty big names come on the show, right? The most satisfying thing is the fact that they listen to the other episodes.
Totally.
Like, because when you are as popular or as successful as some of these people that we've had on our show are, you get asked to do podcasts, you get asked to do interviews all the time. Right. Like I've been on a handful of podcasts. You've done it as well. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I don't listen to all of the ones that I've been guests on.
Right.
They don't turn into a regular thing. But like this morning we woke up and Courtney from Cake by Courtney was talking about how she went running and listened to Nitty Gritty.
Yeah, that's so cool. I didn't even see that.
Like Susan talks about like when she listens to it, or Anna or Jared, like whoever it is, like it's not uncommon. And even like on Instagram, like the people who like our stuff a lot of them are like past guests.
Right.
Like Paige and Abby and, all these people are jumping on.
Right.
And, we still have that genuine relationship with them. I think that's been like the most satisfying thing selfishly is that it's good enough for them to pay attention.
So what you're saying is we still have, what's that thing called again that I have?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. We still have imposter syndrome.
For sure.
Because it is true. Like hearing people talk about how great interviewers we are or whatever, I just kind of look at them like, we're just talking to people. It's not like we're doing anything that deliberately.
It's not hard.
Right? I do like hearing that my voice is sexy. I think totally opposite, but it is exciting. Like you have a great voice for radio, and it's always a woman that says it. So in my mind, I feel like they're flirting with me, even though they're not. I'm just kidding. It's just nice to hear nice things about yourself. Like, oh, there's that voice. I remember walking into Betty's Beds, with catering. Yeah. And they're like, there's that voice we love so much. I'm like, that's awesome. I hate hearing my own voice, but yeah, who would have ever thought? Like the podcast is, first of all, I never thought we'd make it this long, to be honest. Like I thought we'd get bored with it. So I'm pretty impressed. And we've been very solid about doing it every week.
Yeah.
When we don't have like the guest fell through this week, we got to definitely get more organized with guests, but it's nice to know that we can still get on here. And I really like this is our third, I think, like you and recap. Me, you and I, just like recap type episode. And I've really liked all three of them.
Yeah.
Or all two of them. I'm sure I'll like this one too.
Well, I mean, to just kind of hit, I just want to talk just a second about it because I'm a numbers guy. It's been crazy to see the numbers. In the first year, we've had over 100,000 listens or views, which is, I had someone do like a little study on podcasts and compare where we are. So I have an idea. And we're ranked in the top 1% for podcasts in year one.
Really? That's crazy.
And so, because it doesn't feel like we're having fun. And then there are days where like the business competitive Andrew comes out, number data guy.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we're not doing this, or, oh, we could do better this way, but it's kind of fun to sit back and think. I mean, when we launched the podcast, it's been literally a year this week.
Wow.
The first day, I think we had 100 people listen.
Wow.
And it was like, that is awesome. And like the first couple episodes, like we were stoked if we had a couple hundred people listen.
Right.
And to think now we have a single episode with 10,000.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
And like when you look at, I don't know how they rank this kind of stuff. It's all kind of a black box, but when you pull up the numbers, so we've been listened to in over 70 countries, and like we've hit the top 100.
See, that's the most wild thing to me. 70 countries. Hopefully, do you think it's just VPNs?
I have no idea.
People using those VPN things just so they can get free, streaming services.
Totally could.
But no, I mean, you're right. How many people travel? Like, we've probably got a lot of guests that travel and
we've hit like the top 100 in these countries. And I think it's 17 countries that we've been a top 100 podcast.
That's wild to me.
And like, there's been,
we should do a tour.
Yeah. Let's take it on the road.
Let's hit Bulgaria, man. I know they like us.
That's funny. We were number 2 in Bulgaria.
I know. I remember. Oh my gosh. That would be amazing. No, that is, I mean, you forget and we don't even try that hard. I mean, if you think about it, as far as marketing goes, like I do think
we're really bad at it.
We got to spend money on is camera. Like I really do think we need to focus more on the, seeing the guests and seeing us type of thing.
Well, we need to take advantage of being together.
Right.
Like, I don't know how long it's going to last being able to be in front of every guest, because like we are fortunate to where we are being introduced to a lot of really cool people.
And I think we're in a place with a lot of really cool people,
but they're not in Utah.
Right.
Like, so if we did, remote type interviews, like we could probably open the door to quite a few people. I'm nervous because
it appeals to me none. Like, and I need to get over it, but it's so funny. Like we have marriage counseling next week, and I thought it was going to be normal.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a teleconference. I'm like, I don't even want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like that's going to be horrible.
Now,
like there's no feel there.
We can make it better because you can make it like a Zoom, so you're looking at the person. Right. But yeah, like it is something unique about having the person sitting across the table from us.
Totally. Well, and I'm not judging it on any experience. That's the funny thing. Like, I'm sure if we did it and the audio and everything felt like it did right here, who cares? Like if we have them up on the TV screen up here and we can see them close up and see their, their, what am I thinking? What's the word? Body language. God, I was going to say body action.
Hopefully we're not seeing
their
body
action. I got to be able to see their body action. Oh my gosh. But, I'm sure it would be great. And you're right. Then that opens the door to a gajillion different awesome guests that we could have. But so I guess we just have to do one. But anyway, Andrew's got his jazz shirt on. You're not into it though.
Not into what?
The Jazz coming back this year. You don't care because
well, it's not that I don't
care. Bogart, whatever his name is.
Bogdanovich.
Oh, my bad.
Bogdanovich.
Got wrist surgery.
Yeah.
So they're throwing in the towel?
Basically. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Jazz with the whole Rudy Donovan thing that happened with the coronavirus to see if it is...
What are their contracts? Sorry, I'm yawning. What are their contract situations?
So Rudy's up for a max extension.
He's gone. Mark my word. If one of them is out of contract.
Oh, he's not out. So he has another year. So this is the year that he's eligible to sign his like 5-year max extension contract. And Donovan actually comes eligible for his extension as well. So like they're both eligible for extensions. So they're both still under contract for at least another year. Right. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see.
There's no way they're going to want to do that together. I mean, what a great pair.
Yeah, it'll be really
It
interesting.
would make a whole lot of sense for him. I can't imagine Malone and Stockton were best friends because Stockton was a douche.
Well, that's what that's what everyone says. At the end of the day, it's like you don't have to be like best friends to be able to look at Jordan and all of his teammates. No one liked Jordan.
Right.
But they still won a ton of games.
That's the thing. They complement each other perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? Like they don't steal each other's. It's not like Kobe and Shaq were you can't really ask for a better pair physically, position-wise. But they were both such dominant strong personalities and maybe these two are the exact same. I imagine you would kind of have to be. So
yeah,
maybe one wants to be. That's the sad thing about sports. I don't know if it's so much about, it's not just about winning, right? Like Rudy and Donovan staying together would make a whole lot of sense. But
yeah,
bottom line, they're both type A personalities with strong body action.
Lots of action.
So, but I don't know. Who would you rather? Let's end this podcast on this question.
Oh,
if you had to pick one,
do we have the time?
If you have to pick one to extend and one to ship off, who do you pick, Rudy or Donovan? I have my answer. I'm not a huge Jazz fan, obviously. I grew up a Laker fan. But when the Lakers took money for COVID, they might have lost me because I thought that was ridiculous. But I know my answer, but I want to hear what yours would be.
So I'll give you the analysis. Are you ready? Yeah. You opened up a can.
I love it.
Are you ready for the
people
answer?
Are excited. This is keeping people locked in until the end. So this is a passionate question for Andrew.
So here's the thing. If you take Rudy off of the Jazz don't make the playoffs.
Right?
If you take Donovan off the Jazz, they make the playoffs.
Ooh.
But hold on.
I was going to say there's more. There has to be more.
Donovan has way more star power potential than Rudy has.
But what does that do for you?
It can mean recruiting other players to come play.
Right.
It also means his ceiling is higher. Like, if he can continue to evolve his game, here's the biggest question mark with Rudy. Is it Rudy from this year or Rudy from last year? So
is that person or player? What do you mean? Okay.
So we'll use Dennis Rodman as a great example. The dude knew his job and he put his head down and went to work. He did not care if he touched the ball. He didn't care to score. He didn't care if he got credit. He knew he was there to defend.
He was the worm.
And to rebound. Right? Last year, Rudy knew his job is to basically guard the other team.
Right.
He was there to play defense. He won 2 Defensive Players of the Year, and his offense came from oops. Right? He was there to score when the opportunity presented itself. This year, I feel like he really tried to expand his offensive game, and the Jazz offense was not built around him, and so they missed him a lot. Right. Like, he would call for the ball in the post, or he would roll and he was open and they didn't get it to him. What happened this year is Rudy started to get mad.
Right.
And so when he didn't get the ball when he wanted it or when he thought he was open, it affected how he played on defense. So if that's the Rudy you're getting, I think it would be really hard, because I don't think he's built to be a 20-point a night guy. Well,
and the whole NBA isn't built that way anymore, right? Like the big man is
going away.
If you can defend, you got a job. And otherwise, you got to be a 3-point shooter. You got to be a shooter.
Yeah.
Right?
And so that's the thing, like, if it's Rudy, like, his sole purpose is to be Defensive Player of the Year Rudy, not All-Star, All-NBA Rudy.
Right.
Then I think you'd have a higher likelihood of replacing a Donovan.
You're not answering the question.
I'm not going to answer the question.
You have to.
I'm going to be a politician, and I'm going to skirt all the way around it.
This is such horse. Can you do a beep sound for me right here? Like,
what if Donovan and Rudy are listening and this?
Wait a second.
And they get mad at me for saying this and don't come on the show.
Is that what we're doing? No. Listen, I choose Donovan. Here's why. I don't have the basketball mind that you do.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it strictly as teammate.
Yeah.
They're both excellent players.
Yeah.
Right? But I think you look at your community reach, like who they are in the community, who they are as a teammate. I guess I don't know that Donovan's a great teammate. But like you said, I think you can build more around Donovan Mitchell than you can around Rudy Gobert.
Personality-wise.
Right.
But like Rudy does cool stuff. Like everywhere he goes, he donates.
He touches microphones and breathes on people. Yes.
No, everywhere he goes, every team he plays on the road, he donates. I think it's either $1,000 or $100,000 for every block he gets to a charity in that city.
That's pretty cool.
You know,
did his PR firm come up with that?
No, because here's the thing: it doesn't.
He's like that.
It doesn't get a bunch of attention.
It's true. I've never heard of that. But is he a good teammate? Do you think the Jazz would say they'd rather be on Donovan's team or Rudy's team? I mean, if we found out,
I would say Donovan, simply because Rudy Gobert is French, and there is going to be a barrier there, culturally, language. You know, there's got to be a barrier.
Plus, French people can be kind of pompous, from what we've heard the last couple hundred years. Yeah.
We just lost our ranking in France.
69 countries now. So, well, no, that's really interesting. So you just copped out. You're a real pansy. I have no respect for your answer.
So what do I think? What do I think is the most likely thing of happening?
No, I don't care about that. I care about if you were the general manager, right? And you had to choose.
The honest truth is I would take the best deal.
Oh my gosh. This is so frustrating. Oh man. Oh, I wish Deaton was in here. He's probably the only other one that's as big a Jazz fan as you are that we've had on the show.
So did you see that he was at Game 6? Like he's at that game with his family when Jordan hit the shot.
See, I saw Blake Roney in the. Did you see him in the documentary? Or
so on Instagram, someone took a screenshot and circled.
Seriously?
So it's him, his dad, his mom, and his brother.
See, there's a big close up on Blake Roney. He was a lot younger.
Yeah,
I bet a lot of people missed it.
Yeah,
but I loved how they talked about how rowdy. That's one of the things that has made it so hard for me to become a Jazz fan, is how obnoxious the fans are. And the fact that they were still that super obnoxious back then.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, what is it that makes, like, why are our fans so obnoxious?
Because it's the same thing that makes BYU fans so obnoxious. They are so vested because there's nothing else.
I think you need to make sure, like, you just said BYU fans and not Utah fans.
BYU fans are so much worse.
I totally disagree with you.
And I am a BYU fan.
I'm not saying any of them are worse. I think they're equally as ridiculous.
But when it comes to rowdiness and like being,
oh my gosh, we shouldn't have gone down this road. I'm about to lose it.
But so
when's the last time you saw, a couple of blow up dolls with Max's mom and Max's wife written on them?
For sure. But if you go to any
at
other
the BYU at Lavelle, anyways, I'll drop the mic now.
But you asked the question why, and it's because there's nothing else, and so
there's nothing else to do. Like no other team to be.
Mm-mm. It's like when you
really think that's it? Do you think there's more entitled people here than other places?
No.
You don't think that?
No. I don't. Because I think
I don't necessarily think that. I think it's more than just saying it's the only thing
well, there's a couple things. It's that, but it's also like the layout of the arena. The people don't realize, because you look at it on TV and it all feels or looks the same.
See, that one makes sense to me.
In the Jazz, in the whatever you want to call it, the Vivint Arena now, like they are on top of you.
Right. I've never understood that with basketball. Like baseball has a dugout, hockey has a bench, right? Basketball, like the fans are right there.
Well, and in Utah,
so weird.
It's
so
a steep pitch, and there's no room. Like when we went to New Orleans and went to the Pelicans game,
definitely more spread out down there.
Oh my gosh! Like behind the bench, there were they could have fit 4 more rows.
Yeah, there's that huge aisle, which I think should be the rule. Like, I think teams need to be, you look at some of the fan player interactions, across the NBA. Of course, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Right. Like,
and so that's the thing. Like in Utah, like they're passionate because there's nothing else, and they love their team. But then they are right on top of you, And so like, and I think you have. I mean, I don't think you have.
You think there's some little brother mentality to it, like. It's hard to get players here, so the ones that do come, we love them a ton, and we're going to get rowdy about it because you all think that we're just this podunk. Like I think of Boozer leaving, I think of Hayward leaving. Like,
yes, 100%.
Nobody either wants to come here or they want to leave here, and so I mean, you got to respect it, right?
Here's the thing: like the Jazz players that here all say, and they have to, but I think even ex-players will come out and say, like, that's the best fan base. Like if they like you, there's no one better. If they don't, then look out.
Do you know why we need cameras? We'll end this now. I know this is rambling on, but I just want everyone to be able to see the difference in Andrew's overall body action in the last 15 minutes talking about the Jazz. Like, I love how he gets, like, he starts moving in his chair. Like, there's more color in his face. Like, you are so into it, and I love it. I love how much you like the Jazz. Like, it's funny when I read Jazz stories or any breaking news, like I text, I can't wait. I hope I can tell Andrew this before he sees it. Or anyway, it's just fun. It's really, really fun to watch. We have got to get somebody from the Jazz on the show just so I could watch you. Oh, it would be awesome. And we were close today with Frank. I mean, we had an NBA. I think he's a star. Like, I think Frank is going to be a starting shooting guard for somebody at some point.
For
like
sure.
He is so, and he's a Lone Peak guy.
Yeah.
Grew up here in Utah County. He's such a nice kid. I get to see him when I feed the Saints. I was so excited to see you talk to him. Yeah. I think that was what I was most excited about, but we'll get him on here in a few weeks, but we got to do a basketball episode just for you.
Oh, we need to get Donovan.
Dude. So, okay. Hold on.
How about Quinn? How fun would Quinn be? My gosh.
His next door neighbor is one of my mission companions. So we might have it in there. I always forget that. Answer this question, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
If you could choose Rudy or Donovan to be on the podcast, you only get to choose one.
Donovan, easy.
Okay, so you can pick that.
Easy.
What about...
So easy.
No... You think Quinn Donovan's a better? What about Karl Malone or Donovan Mitchell?
Karl.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Did you hear Karl talk about the Jordan documentary?
No.
So he didn't go on. He was one of the few players who refused to go on the documentary.
Really?
And so
why? You're probably about to tell me. Sorry.
So in this other interview, it talked about it, and he was like, "I didn't play Michael Jordan. I played the Bulls."
Whoa.
Whoa. He's like, I'm a man. They beat us, but the Bulls beat us. Michael Jordan didn't beat me.
True. And Karl Malone had some good games.
Well, he was the MVP.
But he was also a wrestler during that time. I read that article about him and Rodman hamming it up at mid-court like that because they're trying to sell their wrestling match.
Yeah.
And then I watched the wrestling match yesterday. Karl Malone is a freak.
Oh my gosh.
He is a Greek god.
So ESPN just named him the best player to never win a championship.
Oh, hands down without a doubt. It's not even close.
He was so good.
So good. Oh, I feel so bad.
So I was watching.
And he's such a nice guy.
Sorry, last thing, watching that game 6. Like, I wasn't as invested in the Jazz back then. I wasn't as big a Jazz fan. I was probably more a Jordan fan.
Right.
But that game 6, the Jazz were up the whole game.
I know.
So they replayed the game. Did you know that?
Didn't they replay that whole series?
Well, so no, the other night they called it Game 6 the movie because they couldn't replay, so they had to show it from different angles for different copyright reasons.
Right.
But the Jazz were up the whole thing, Game 6, 40 seconds to go, the Jazz are up by 4.
Yep.
It's like, it's in the bag. It's going to Game 7. It's going to be in Utah. They're going to win, and Jordan hits a layup, boom. No, they're up by 3. Now all of a sudden they're up by 1. Malone gets the ball in the post. Jordan strips it from Malone, goes down, pushes off, hits the shot.
I think in today's NBA, Jordan would have been called. It would have been a foul for the steal. Like that motion, that big swinging motion that he did. Like I don't think that flies. Now I think they call too many fouls nowadays. I wouldn't have liked that.
The game is so different now.
But I mean, yeah, he broke down that whole play in the Last Dance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's sad. But I mean, they're not going to beat him in Chicago.
No.
I guess it would have been nice for Chicago to just win there, so the fans didn't have to experience winning there in Utah. But
well, that got off on a long tangent. The basketball.
I thought it was awesome. I think people are going to enjoy the Jazz part. I think it's pretty cool. And I think a lot of people that listen are obviously Jazz fans. I mean, almost everybody in Utah is, and for good reason. So that's going to be my new goal: is to get a Jazz. Get a Jazz. Somebody from either the team, past team, or coach.
So Quinn,
on the show.
Joe Ingles would be probably the most fun.
Oh, I didn't think about dude, an Aussie for sure.
Joe would be the most fun because he is like the most.
Oh, he's funny.
Oh my gosh, so like dry.
Right. Well, he's an Australian man.
Just ripping crazy on people.
Like they're a blast to talk to.
Joe would be a ton of fun, and he just started his own podcast.
Well,
come on, Joe.
Maybe Frank can help us out.
Frank would be fun. We need to get Zion.
Frank's gonna be like. Frank is such a sharp kid, and he's a good kid, but he's funny. Like he's going to be. I can't wait to talk to him because he's going to have some awesome stories. He's such a good dude. But
well, thank you everyone
for
the
1 year.
For the 1 year, we got some fun stuff. Year 2 coming with some good guests that we're trying to get on, and
the more you support us, the easier it is for us to get better guests. So spread the word because it makes us. If we have a certain amount of listens, it's much easier to ask some people.
Which is dumb, but it's true.
It's totally true, and they're busy, and we get it. But I think we're on our way. I think I can honestly say I don't think anybody has not enjoyed being on the podcast.
I'd agree.
We've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
Right. The absolute favorite podcast that I've been on. It was so much fun. So if you're famous and you have a good story, call us, and we'd love to have you on the show. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Well. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Fun year.